The average person is said to spend 15 minutes in the bathroom. Why not take advantage of that time and learn something new? Presenting the 15-minute podcast on weird facts, crazy details, and funny particulars that you'll be able to enjoy while you're taking on your free time. Welcome to The Shit with Sam Butler. Welcome to another episode of The Shit. I'm your host, Sam Butler. I have a very special guest with us today, a good friend of mine, a producer for a show that we were all a part of back in the day called El Late Night con Badilla. She's also a producer for Leyendas Legendarias, and she's a manager, manages comics. She's a producer, so she's with me today. A good big round of applause for my friend, Gaby Ruiz. Gaby, gracias. And thank you.
There's 4 people across the country just like, they're taking a shit, and I appreciate that.
You did pretty good on that Des Muerto. Everybody was like, man, the writing you did on the little skits with the puppets. I mean, you're getting your own celebrity status off of that, and it was genius. I mean, what you did was genius. So I enjoyed it. I appreciated being part of the show. It was just, you guys literally broke the internet in Mexico. And I say you guys because you guys put it together. I just got to kind of hang out and be part of it. So I appreciate that. And I'm glad to be part of the Leyendas Legendarias family with this new podcast. And I'm glad to have you on it. So thank you.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that.
We do have a topic today that's the shit. You know, I read this article.
I love how every time you say the shit, you just like shrug a little.
The shit. You know, I don't cuss that much, you know? And
I was going to say, holy shit, you're right. But
I really don't. And the name just kind of fits.
Darn tootin'.
Yeah, it just kind of fits what we're doing, you know? And in Spanish, especially, I remember when we were talking about the project, I talked to Lolo, the producer. I was like, hey, Lolo, I want to call it Está Cagado, which literally means the shit in Spanish, right? And it means it's shat on, I guess. That'd be a literal translation, right?
It's surrounded by shit. It's shitted. It's shit adjacent.
Yeah. So I was like, but I don't know. Just that name isn't my personality. You know. And he goes, dude, it's perfect. And I said, all right, we're keeping it.
Super tame.
Compared to what everybody else does. You know, it's like.
The leyendas is like, necrophilia. People are like, yay! And you're worried about shit. You're fine.
But it translates to the shit, and so I was like, all right, it is the shit. You know, what we're going to talk about is the shit. I think it's a very interesting thing that I came across. I'm having to research for this podcast, and a lot of the research that I'm coming across, I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. Cool. Well, I didn't know. Did you know that there's only 2 countries in the world?
I'm pretty sure there's more than that, Sam.
Well, I know. I haven't gotten to it. It's like, it's
made a pause, and you made it easy for me to say something stupid.
Walked right into that one.
Met.
You know, but there's only 2 countries in the entire world where Coca Cola is not sold.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah. Right. I know. I'd get you with that one.
Okay.
Can you guess what country they are?
Of course I can.
Okay. You can't. Okay.
No, it's like
when I say it, you're gonna go. Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, okay, Russia?
No, Russia has Coca Cola.
Is it called something weird?
It's I'll tell you what it is because we'll spend 15 minutes guessing. You know, it's like we're on a schedule. You know, it's like you guys, we don't want your legs to go numb sitting on that toilet seat. So this is the deal. The two countries where it's not sold. One is North Korea.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other one is Cuba.
Okay.
No.
I was close and like, okay.
Yeah, Russia. Yeah, you were guessing Russia. And it's kind of good because, the article that I looked up most of the information on said that for almost 60 years, Coca-Cola isn't on sale again in Burma.
Okay.
Right? It was restricted in Burma. So it was 3 countries at one time. And these are all countries that have economic sanctions with the United States.
Oh, man, imagine being like a full-grown adult and one day there's like Coca-Cola.
Well, it's like, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm jealous of food.
This article is from 2011.
Okay.
Right? So it's an old article. So the sanctions were lifted and now Burma has Coca-Cola. And that's, this says it's because the U.S. trade sanctions on the military junta, which ruled the country from 1962 to 2011, were suspended. And the country began to move towards democratic reforms.
But they moved really slowly because they had no caffeine in their systems. It's like, fine, let's move towards
They're like, do they have coffee in Burma? I don't know, but Coca-Cola. you know. But I was reading into it, and this was something that, and I want to say, you know, it's kind of quoted from the article. It says, Coca-Cola's entry into any country is a powerful symbol, says Tom Standage, author of A History of the World in 6 Glasses. The moment Coca-Cola starts shipping is the moment you can say there might be real change going on here. He says, Coca-Cola is the nearest thing to capitalism in a bottle.
Well, capitalism in a bottle. That's
right.
Perfect sense.
Yeah. So Pepsi, of course, is like, well, we're going to be in Burma too.
You know? Yeah, no one cares, Pepsi. Go home.
It's actually, Pepsi's made a lot of money by going places where Coke wouldn't go.
Oh, three countries?
All 3 countries, you know.
God, Pepsi is the worst. I hate Pepsi.
And of course, in Cuba, you know, the interesting thing about Cuba was actually one of the first countries to bottle Coca-Cola outside of the U.S.
Huh.
That would make sense because Cuba's main export was sugar. Yeah. So they were bottling Coca-Cola in Cuba. But, you know, once the embargo started in Cuba in the 60s, they moved out.
Makes sense.
Fidel Castro started taking assets of private businesses, and they said, yeah, it's time to move on. I don't think that this is... Yeah. And in North Korea,
kooky North Korea.
Yeah, they still don't have Coke officially. But then somebody, and I'll read it here, it says, recent media reports suggested that it was being sold in a restaurant in Pyongyang. I don't know if I said that right or not, Pyongyang. But Coca-Cola says if any drinks are being sold in either North Korea or Cuba, they're being smuggled in on the black market.
How much would a Coke cost if you're smuggling it to North Korea? Like if they catch you with a Coke,
I know, right?
Deep shit.
Well, I mean, it's black market. I mean, it's like I got these Uzis.
Hey, yeah, I got some kidneys.
I got some kidneys.
You want some small children for labor? Yeah, or Coke, Mexican sugar.
I'm all in. I'm all in for the Coke, you know. And it's funny you say that because
don't tell me I'm right.
You're right about the Mexican Coke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and probably about the other stuff too, but that's bleak for people's morning routines. Keep pooping, everyone. It's cool.
Well, you know, Coca-Cola started in 1906 in Atlanta, Georgia. You know, it's a symbol of America. You know, I mean, it's one of those things. It has always been about the American dream, says Bruce Webster, an independent branding consultant who has done work for Coca-Cola Company in the past. But not all countries have embraced the Americanness that seems to be embodied by Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Right. So when other countries get mad at America, they protest by by doing bad stuff to Coca-Cola.
That is so stupid.
I know,
when
right?
People were mad at Nike. They're like, "I'm gonna buy the shoes and burn them." You idiot! You already paid for them.
Yeah.
Doi.
Yeah. I think it was that movie Straight Outta Compton where they were like crushing the records and standing on them, and then those guys are on the bus. They go, "I don't care. They paid for those." You know. So it's like, yeah. So it was the French who first coined the pejorative term Coca-Cola colonization.
Okay.
In the 1950s, trucks were overturned and bottles smashed, says Standage.
And then people would just go and steal them, obviously.
As protesters saw the drink as a threat to French society.
Oh, no, the French are the worst, too. Like, they deserve Pepsi.
They deserve Pepsi. During the Cold War, Coca-Cola became a symbol of capitalism and a fault line between capitalism and communism, says Webster. So the Soviet Union, due to the fear of profits, they had fear that the profits would go straight to communist government, so they pulled out of...
Well, they just wanted control over things that were red. Like, oh, dang it, we wanted red.
West Berlin. The wall fell in 1989. Many East Germans bought Coca-Cola by the crate load, says Standage. Drinking Coca-Cola became a symbol of freedom.
Okay. What's more American than freedom, Sam?
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, then Coke, right?
School shootings, probably.
Yeah, school shootings. I know. I mean, people were going like, I don't speak school shootings when they were like complaining about the podcast being in English. I'm like, I don't speak feminicide. You know, if you guys want to go down that route, you know.
Totally fair.
So it says here that the big boost came as a result of World War II. When Coca-Cola was being provided to U.S. troops overseas, there were more than 60 military bottling plants for Coca-Cola around the world during the war.
Huh, so soldiers would get like their rations and a bottle of Coke.
Yeah, 60 bottling plants around the world. And the locals, of course, became addicted to it too, you know. And so...
Same.
it was talking about here, Dwight D. Eisenhower at the time, the supreme commander of the Allied forces in Europe, was said to be particular fan of, and ensured availability in North Africa. He also introduced the drink to Soviet General Gregory Zhukov, who asked if a special colorless version, one that looked like vodka, could be made, and Coca-Cola duly obliged for a while, says Standage.
Huh.
Remember, I don't know if you remember in the 80s, they had Crystal Pepsi,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, and
it was
always,
disgusting.
Yeah, it felt so
unnatural,
it sounds
right?
stupid. Yeah, unnatural and fake. Like Coca-Cola would just grow on trees, and that was the correct natural version, and it felt wrong somehow.
So, have you ever had like menudo where they don't put the chili sauce in the menudo and they just cook it? It just made you hungry. It's 100 degrees outside. Jesus,
I do not care.
Yeah. So, Coca-Cola, in Arab countries, Iran's president Mahmoud, I'm going to mess this up, Ahmadinejad, has threatened to ban
you.
Coca-Cola. And this is, of course, an article from 2012. Venezuela's Hugo Chavez.
Article.
Yeah. Venezuela's Hugo Chavez recently urged people to drink locally made fruit juice rather than to drink Coca-Cola or Pepsi.
I mean, sure.
So, in the 126 years after its birth, Coca-Cola is still pushing forward in terms of sales, and it's growing.
There's a lot of parts of Mexico, especially the poorer parts, where a can of Coke is cheaper than just water.
Yeah.
And most people are like, well, I'm thirsty and I don't have a lot of money, so I'm just going to buy Coke.
What I think is like amazing about Coke, and it's kind of like the shit about it, is that they actually will say, they'll call everything Coke.
Yeah.
If it's an orange soda, they'll be like, go get the orange Coke.
Yeah.
Right?
The Sprite Coke.
The Sprite Coke.
Yeah.
So Coke is that. And Coca-Cola, I mean, it's Mexican Coke is the best.
Oh, I know.
I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean,
It's
I
the
know.
sugar.
Well, that's what they're saying. It's saying that the American Coke has high fructose corn syrup.
Yep, and the Mexican
And the Mexican
Coke
is like cane sugar.
Yeah.
So the Mexican Coke, but they say that the Mexican Coke imported into the U.S. has high fructose corn syrup too.
Yeah, I mean, I can taste the difference. Like if I have
A Mexican Coke in the U.S.
yeah, and even if it depends on the container too. Like the
glass
Coke,
bottle is the best, right?
best one.
Yeah, but I bought a case of Coca-Cola. Like when I was doing the research, I went in the fridge and I grabbed one. I was just like, this is delicious. Yeah. And I bought a case of the Coca-Cola from Mexico at Sam's Club in El Paso. And I'm like, this doesn't taste taste like it used to taste. I'm thinking like, and now I read the article like, I'm being hoodwinked here. It's like that. It's not really Mexican Coke at this point.
Yeah, that is weird because whenever I'm like in El Paso or in the U.S. and we go someplace to eat Mexican food, because hey, cravings, and we ask
Mexican
for
food in the U.S.
Yeah,
really.
Well, yeah, because it's different. Like people will get mad at like, "Oh, Taco Bell is in Mexican." No, it's not, but it's fucking delicious.
Yeah,
Doy.
No,
it doesn't have to be street taco to be a good taco.
I like to think of Taco Bell as Mexican themed junk food.
That is a perfect description.
It's a Mexican themed junk food. I like junk food. I don't know if you can tell, but I like junk food. But this has a Mexican theme to it, so it's delicious.
Yeah, and if we go to like we'll be in LA or in somewhere where there's a lot of Hispanic people, and we'll go to a restaurant and ask for Mexican Coke, it just doesn't quite. Plus, it's so expensive. I usually don't get it. Like, those are cheaper.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't drink a lot of Coca-Cola anymore. I mean, I used to have a big addiction to it back in the day, and I was like, I can't do this. So I started drinking diet soda. Yeah. And I gained weight drinking diet soda. I don't know if you know that, but diet soda actually makes you fatter. It does. Huh. Yeah, it has a synthetic sugar, and your body doesn't know that that's sugar. So it doesn't know what it is. It's synthetic.
So it just saves all of it.
So it saves it as fat.
Oh.
And that's why you get fat. That's the shit, by the way. You get fat. Don't drink diet soda. If you like it, I mean, I had developed a taste, and I was drinking like a liter of diet soda every day. It was like, or every time I got thirsty. So
have you ever done like I know you don't drink as much anymore, but for a while there, I would drink about 1 liter or 2 per day, just pushing it back. And I started working at, when I was a teenager, at frutas frescas, like lemonade, and I would not drink soda because I had so much other shit available. And then when I did have a gulp of Coke, it would just taste so sweet. Like, oh shit. But then like within an hour, I'm like, ooh, I want more.
Yeah, it's like an addiction.
Super addictive,
right? It's awesome, and it doesn't have cocaine in it anymore, which is
bummer / probably a good idea.
Good idea. Yeah. So I said, well, 2012 has been a long time. Has Coke now moved into Cuba? You know, and so I mean, remember
I would
in 20
have guessed like Obama briefly.
Yeah, exactly. In 2015, he changed the game and kind of opened up sanctions a little bit. And Coke was planning to go, but then of course now we're back
like
to
a switcheroo.
Yeah, we're back to the same old, same old. Okay. But there is, and then before you guys get all mad and go, there's Coke in Cuba. There is Coke in Cuba. It's just not bottled in Cuba. Okay. And the Coke that's in Cuba is brought in from other countries, and it's sold
for tourists and more.
Yeah. It's sold at resorts.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's super expensive.
Yeah.
So if you're a Coca Cola fan like I am, I love it. It's America in a bottle. That's what they're saying. I don't even think that's true anymore.
It's weird because I associate it so much with Mexico.
I know, right?
I mean, of course, it's a symbol for the U.S. and capitalism and freedom drinks.
I don't think that's true anymore. I think,
used to be at first.
I think at first, but I mean, I was flying back from Europe, and there was a Coke can, and it had like I don't even know what language it was, but it looked Asian, and I was like, this plane is really international. It flies everywhere. But I knew it was Coca Cola from the branding. But it's just one of those things that I think if you live on this planet, I think Coca Cola.
Imagine meeting someone who doesn't know what Coca Cola is and be like, no, wait, dude, try this.
Yeah, it's like, no, that's it. It's like an addiction, you know, and they're good with polar bears. And so I identify as a polar bear sometimes.
A polar bear once tickled me, like a dude in a polar bear costume.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
which is creepier. I worked as a photographer for like a mall Santa once, and they had this oh my god, it sounds worse now that I think about it. But they brought in some guys in polar bear costumes for the kids, and they were handsy, they were grabby, and
That's crazy. Well, that's it for this episode of The Shit Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for
how can
us,
people find you on social media?
You can find me as Soy Gabe, which is weird because Gabe is usually like a guy's name in the U.S.
Yeah.
And Soy is like they're expecting a vegetarian dude.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna tell you that when you reached out to me the very first time about being a guest on the late night show, it was like, who's this Gabe dude? You know, and then I went into I went, oh, Gabe in Spanish. It's a girl, Gabriela. That's good. So
happens all the time.
Soy Gabe, you know, and
vegetarian dude.
So Soy Gabe is on your Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, or you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you can find me at Stacagado Podcast on Instagram. Stacagado Podcast on Instagram. Or Tu Amigo Sam on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you guys very much for joining us. That's another episode of The Shit Podcast.
Bye.